Afro beat versus Afro beats. I know you've talked about this before, but I feel like it needs to continue to be reiterated to the youth in terms of the difference, because the history of Afrobeat is so important. Could you talk about that a little bit?
The difference between Afrobeat and Afrobeats, I don't want to delve into that because it will be like I'm criticizing the young people and I don't want them to, it might be heartbreaking what I'll say. But I'll advise them to pick up an instrument. My father was a multi-instrumentalist composer. He studied music, he could read, he could write. He wrote every single part of his instrument. You probably have heard that they said he said without Tony Allen there was no Afrobeat. That is the biggest, excuse me, bullshit ever said about my father. That is the biggest lie. It's such a big lie. He tried to sell to Tony Allen, so they said to lie. Yes, he was a good drummer, but Fela taught him his style of drums. Fela came up with all his drum patterns. We saw it. I was a child, a teenager, a man. We saw Fela do this. Fela wrote all the parts, and I keep asking them, okay, why didn't Tony Allen tell us? Okay, which songs did you put for Fela? Which songs did Fela tell you to play? He couldn't, because there was no song that Fela would say, hey, put the drum pattern for me. Impossible. You could not. When Fela was writing, if a pin dropped, he looked, who? And then you will say you have an idea in his composition. Impossible. Look, when Fela arrived, rehearsals, everywhere changed. If there was like pandemonium, when Fela arrived, there was complete silence. You couldn't even say, you couldn't call your friend, hey, Tunde, you couldn't. Because you see, it goes into a kind of trance. And then everybody's waiting to hear the melody and the rhythms. And the way Fela used to work is he'll call the drummer, he'll call the guitar, the rhythm guitar, the tenor guitar, the percussions, and the bass. And then when he plays this for about a week, he'll call the singers for a while, then he'll call the horns, and then he builds the music slowly. It takes him probably a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then he plays this for about 2, 3 years before he records the music. So he transforms so many times. And we all are there witnessing this musical transformation. When Fela records a song, he never plays it again. This is Fela. So when they are lying, so I asked them where. There was a journalist in America who went on social media and said a lot of nasty things, thinking I'm jealous of that Tony Allen was a good drummer or whatever. I'm just correcting the facts. You know, I love Tony Allen, but what his crew and his management and himself did, it's a blatant lie. It's a big lie. And if we don't let the youths know the truth, then we distort history. So it is for me to tell the audience and those of us that know the truth about who and how Fela worked. Show me the article. Don't say Fela said. Where's the magazine? What date? Bring it out. Where is the tape? Where is the recording? Where? Show me. And I'll keep my mouth shut. So I asked the journalist, where is it? Till today, 5 years, I'm still waiting for him to produce. He says he's looking for it. Is it that difficult? Is it that difficult to find that a great, iconic guy like Fela will say such a huge statement and the whole world will not go, wow? So when Fela was writing, he now called you Tony Allen, put the drum parts. And Fela will not come publicly and say, I did, Tony Allen put this drum part. And the press in Nigeria would have gone crazy. One article somewhere in Nigeria, you will not find one where Fela, or radio or TV where Fela says this, because it was a lie. Do you understand what I'm saying? So a big, huge, fat lie. And I will not allow that lie. It's a lie. That lie is a liar. So the Afro beats is young people who identify with my father, probably some of me, because many of the beats they take my beats as well, which is okay. I mean, it shows you're on the right path in your life. Uh, but there is a huge difference. There's a huge difference between Afro beats and the Afro beats. And I'll just implore you to go and listen to Fela from the very beginning and see how Fela transformed. His first Afrobeat song was called My Lady's Frustration. Dum, 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 bum, 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 dum, 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 dum. Pam, para, pam, pam, para. You see, I know we grew up in this. We were there. We felt it. We lived it. So anybody that wants to lie, you see, the good thing about Fela's life is before Fela even became famous, he had children. My elder sister, me, my mother was there. You know, and my younger sister, who unfortunately she died. So we know we lived it. So you can't tell us about Fela. Nobody can tell us about this man because we were there. We saw the beatings, we saw the imprisonment, we saw, and I will never be one that will tell you Fela was perfect or always right. Like I told you, he didn't teach me. I held it against him. All till now, I forgive him because what his life stood for was more important than my life. What he went through, it's, I mean, the beatings, I saw practically every bone on his body beating. In 81, they handcuffed his hands to his leg. I was arrested on that day. The beatings they gave him, I was weeping and, so helpless. This is my father. And the police, he said he died on that day. He felt his spirit leave his body. And what should I be angry at a man that was going through all this, believing he was fighting for justice? His mother was killed, his house was burnt. So it's forgivable. And maybe if I did have formal education, my music would be boring, maybe, I don't know. But I've arrived here. I know what to do with my children. So I think life is a big experience and we learn. Every day we learn. You see, when you listen to Fela and you go to things like Ikoyi blindness, Shakara, Lady, when you hear, Fela was not just even a musician, he was an engineer. Fela used to mix his music. He used to produce his music. He used to produce everything. Ironically, Fela even produced Tony Allen's two compositions because Tony Allen couldn't write. So Fela composed it for him and put it in Tony Allen's name. We know this history. You see, Tony Allen left. Tony Allen never even believed in the struggle. That so Fela the warrior that was fighting, that was getting beaten, comes out and writes a track like Kalakuta Show or Alagmo Close. He comes with this rhythm like a warrior. He said music was the weapon of the future. And you that was playing the warrior drum set didn't believe. So how did you compose a warrior drum set? Tell me. How? If you do when you didn't believe in it, how did you come about it? How can you open your mouth to say such a big lie? You see, the whole of this country knew how Fela worked. Then you ran to France, got some French people as said lying, till the Americans now and everybody quickly ran into the institutions to lie to the children. Fela said, without to them, Fela never said nothing like that. So you tell your young audience, this guy, Fela, you see, when great bands in America and all these countries write, it's very rare you find the composer writing all the parts. The bassist comes to the bass line, and the drummer puts. So everybody's contributing to that masterpiece. It was not the way Fela wrote. Fela was sole composer, arranger, producer of his music. And that's the way he taught somebody like me. See, I write everything, I write all my music. So from me, you could easily see how Fela was doing. Now Fela is the foundation of what people like me are doing. So it's like me saying to hell with Fela. Can you imagine me saying to hell with Fela? I mean, that's like cursing myself. So because I think, oh, I have bang, 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 and truth don't die, I will say, fuck Fela. Won't you think I'm going mad? Or you want me to start to lie that Fela didn't inspire me? Or you want me to lie that jazz did not inspire me? Or you think, you see, so of course, the intelligent will say, so, Mr. Kuti, so where did you get your inspiration from? Oh, I got it from God. You never say, oh, I don't like, sooner or later, people will find out the truth because it's a lie. You see, and the same way with when you're lying about Fela's work. So this is the distinction between the Afrobeat. The Afrobeat was never about making money. about showing off. Nothing like this. It was music for fighting for freedom, justice, and the guy behind it paid a very high price for what he stood for. I'm not saying that Afrobeat can't be about a love song because Bang 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 is a kind of love song. I'm not saying no, but it has to be very intellectual. I'm not saying the Afrobeats is not intellectual. Now, don't get me wrong, because you see, they will now think that I'm trying to discredit them. I think Afrobeat moves deeper into cultural and traditional African way of life and has minimal influences from outside because you have to find that core spiritual connection, which at the end of the day is just human connection. So we lived, the African way of life was living with, in harmony with our surroundings. So this is Afrobeat.